Okay, Bear here. I'm introducing courses. What courses are is they're basically YouTube playlists, except they're far more structured. What I mean by that. So when I create a course for a um, course at Northeastern, it has the syllabus and modules. You're going to learn this and this and this and this and this and this. So I've done that. I've set up basically course outlines for maybe 100 courses in AI. So you can just take a look at of them anywhere here on, here's a course outline for AI for personalized learning. A lot of these courses already have hundreds of notebooks. For example, for this one I do. So I'm going to start adding those notebooks, or have volunteers start adding those notebooks to this particular course. Many of these courses are courses that I've taught at Northeastern. And so I have a lot of materials for them there. But these are all courses. And so the idea here is for people to learn by teaching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show people how to make courses by making a couple of courses. The two courses that I'm going to make is how to use AI to get a job if you're an international student. And that's related to the 80 Days to Stay initiative. And the other course I'm going to do is more of a personal one, and that's my curiosity on AI music. So my understanding of AI music is something like Spotify gets, at least 100,000 new songs a day. And so even if your music is great, it won't be found. And so I get 200 spam messages a day about these people claiming that they can put me on a playlist and, get me heard. Being a researcher, I'm skeptical. And so what we do is we do research. So the way we do a course, and so for this particular course here, the course here is how to build a bot which finds legitimate playlists. So what we do is we outline, each module. These may change because what happens is you learn by doing. So I'm going to learn how to make a bot that verifies legitimate playlists plus ones that have reach. Reach is fairly easy to measure. Basically, has a lot of followers, but it can have a lot of followers because it's entirely fake and bots. There's a music service called SoundCloud, which is just all bots and fake crap. And so a lot of this in this world is a lot of just fake stuff. It's like a lot of industries where it's just a lot of sleazy people doing a lot of sleazy things. But there is great music in the world, and there's great artists in the world, and there are people who make wonderful things that don't get heard. So the purpose of this course is how do I make a bot? And there's, hundreds of thousands or more playlists. There are 100,000 probably songs a day or more that go on Spotify and other things. So this has to be done via, AI and machine learning. Human being can't vet this level of information. You can't hire enough people to listen to 100,000 songs a day and determine which ones are best. So these are algorithmic problems. It's an algorithmic problem that we can generate so much music so easily with all the tools. And we've been doing that for decades. So for you, people who don't know about sort of the history of the music industry, in 1990, not that much. I'd have to look at the stats, but maybe 25% or less music used autotunes. 2025, I'll have to look up the stats, but I'd be surprised it's less than 99%. Most music that makes it on the Billboard list is highly, highly processed. Not just with AI, but with Pro Tools and all these other tools. So, sort of tech and music has been around for decades. The issue of these things like Spotify and Deezer and Apple Music or whatever getting heard in just a sea of content is a fundamental issue. Since this is what I do, I teach AI and machine learning at Northeastern. I did my Harvard postdoc in computational neurology. I have master's degrees in biotechnology and data visualization and an MBA. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this problem. It's an interesting problem to me personally because I make music. And so how do we figure out, let's assume you are a person and you like your music. You think your music is good. You listen to some music and it has 1 million followers and you go, oh my God, how did that thing get 1 million followers? We're going to try to figure out how that happens. How does this happen? How does some great music just sit there and other pretty mediocre music sort of gets on the top 100 Billboard? And so this is a research problem. So the first thing I did was I asked Gemini and Claude and ChatGPT to do research on that. I put this up in notes. So here's the notes that I have so far. So the first thing we have to figure out is, well, how can I access this data? That looks fairly easy. For example, Spotify does have an API. I'm going to learn the API. I'm assuming they all do. Apple, Deezer, they all probably have APIs. So we'll dig into the API, how to garbage in, garbage out. First thing that we need to get playlists. We can also use tools like Google search and web for search for people and Twitter API. I'm sure Twitter and other people, YouTube has an API, and I'm sure there are people who do music playlists, music channels on YouTube. So we'll go through all of those and find all of those. So basically, we'll find sort of everything that has an API or scrapable, looking for music playlists. And what we want to do, in effect, is there are people who care about music, so they care about their playlist. They curate it carefully. Because clearly, a lot of playlists, which if you give me $15, you're on this playlist. It should be fairly easy for Spotify to detect that. So they probably do. So you're probably actually hurting yourself if you get put on a crappy playlist. So in order to figure out exactly what Spotify does, we need to do research. So Spotify, if I email Spotify, hey, I'm a computer scientist, engineer, tell me how your algorithm works, they won't. But we can go publicly. We can also test it. We can just test things and see what works. And so that's what we're going to do. And we also said, does it make sense? So we're going to get into the detail. We're going to do research on Spotify and all the other algorithms. Exactly mathematically, how do they work? What do they do exactly? But the idea is they look for signs. These are called metrics. A metric is something that you can measure of what they think is real engagement. So, for example, if you're on a playlist and then you save it, they probably indicate that, in effect, like a like. If you listen to it again and again and again and again, if you listen to it for 2 seconds and go to something else, they probably view, well, you didn't like it. But I don't know exactly what they do. So they look for a lot of metrics. How many different listeners, how diverse are the listeners? Do you complete it? Do you add it to your own playlist? Do you save it? Et cetera, et cetera. And then what'll happen is if you pay to get on a playlist, it's unlikely that actual people do that. And that may actually end up hurting you. You may get some fake traffic for a while, but it's probably going to hurt you. But I don't know for sure. So this is a research project. What we are going to do is we're going to research and build. And the other part of this project is teaching people how to make courses. The first thing you do when you make a course is, well, what are you going to teach? These courses are also very hands-on, meaning most of this is going to be me doing it and then showing you what I did and talking about it. So the first step here is module 1. It's sort of, what is the problem? So that'll be the next module 1 will be, what is the problem? So let's develop other tools to make it easy. And I'll go over these other tools in other videos. But these are tools to make it easier for you to create an explainer video. And I'll go over this tool in a later one. I had to try to keep these short. So to summarize, we have a courses initiative at Humanitarians AI. Humanitarians AI is a nonprofit, which is a bridge program. People learn by doing with AI and machine learning from the time they graduate until they get a real job. Often people tell me they've learned more in our program than they did in their master's program because they learn by doing. They build things. And then we're setting a new initiative called Courses. And again, it'll be up to the volunteers to teach whatever they want to teach. There are already 100 choices for them. They could teach music medicine, social media, creativity, environmental cost of AI, effective prompting, neurodiverse learning, chatbots for nonprofits, regular machine learning, research methods, causal AI, interactive storage, whatever they want. But they'll have to come up with a module every 2 weeks if you're going to do this as part of a volunteer and teach somebody something. The model is pretty simple. First, you do it. You learn it, and then you explain it. So the expectation is, and then you have a sort of a clear outline of what you're going to talk about. So, for example, if you decide to volunteer for AI and marketing, well, this, and then 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 this, and this. Of course, these things may change as you develop something. Oh, there really should be something between this and this. So then you add it. But you don't know that until you do it. That's the number one thing. You learn by doing. So in order to teach people how to make courses in whatever related to AI, I'm going to do 2 courses. One is how do we use AI to find legitimate playlists? And this is an AI problem because there's so many of these playlists and so much music every day that goes on these services that this is an algorithmic problem. It's something that has to be solved with algorithms. The other one is how to use AI to get a job, effectively get a job. You can look at the 80 days to stay thing now, but that's also going to be a course. So I'm going to create 2 courses. The courses are going to be me doing things, sort of essentially video blogging about them and creating notebooks and code that actually does that. What's different with the course is all the courses will eventually have chatbots associated with them, and they'll have learning materials. So what's different about a course and sort of just a YouTube playlist is there's going to be a GitHub associated with that course. That GitHub is going to have, code. It's going to have examples. It's going to have work problems. They have a textbook. It may have a chatbot, but it's going to have other tools for people to go to actually do. You learn by doing. So that's it for this. This was my first courses on courses. I'm going to teach how to make courses by making 2 courses with the tools that I created to make courses. Okay? That's it. Take care.